Books and games. Two worlds colliding. Today, we're diving into 12 games that took their inspiration straight from the pages of literature. Get ready for some surprising adaptations and a whole new way to experience your favorite stories. From classic novels to modern masterpieces, these games have turned iconic books into interactive adventures. Let's see how they stack up. Starting off at number 12, we have Enslaved, Odyssey to the West. This game is inspired by the 16th century Chinese classic Journey to the West. Picture this, a timeless tale of adventure and spirituality, now set in a post-apocalyptic world crawling with robots. Yeah, you heard that right, robots. Imagine the wise and mischievous Monkey King from the original story, but now he's a gruff warrior named Monkey, wielding a staff that's more tech than wood. And instead of serene temples and mystical lands, you've got dilapidated skyscrapers and overgrown cities. The creative twist here is like swapping out your Zen garden for a chaotic scrapyard. And let's not forget Trip, who in this reimagined version is a tech-savvy girl who looks like she just stepped out of a cyberpunk fashion show. Their dynamic is both endearing and hilarious, kind of like watching an odd couple sitcom set in a world where everything wants to kill them. It's part buddy comedy, part epic journey. Now let's head into darker territory with a story that explores the depths of human morality.
Hurry up!
At number 11, we have Spec Ops, The Line. Now this game is loosely based on Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Yeah, that's right, the same book that inspired Apocalypse Now, so you know we're diving into some serious psychological stuff here. When you first boot it up, it might look like just another shooter, but don't let the cover fool you. This one's a one-way ticket to the heart of madness. Picture this, you're Captain Martin Walker, leading a Delta Force team into a sandstorm-ravaged Dubai. Your mission? Find Colonel John Conrad and his battalion. Simple enough, right? Wrong. As you navigate through the crumbling city, things start to get weird. Real weird. The heat isn't just getting to your character, it's getting to you too. Every choice you make feels like it carries the weight of the world, or at least what's left of it. I remember thinking, oh cool, a cover-based shooter in a unique setting. Next thing I know, I'm questioning my own moral compass and staring at the screen like I've just seen a ghost. The game makes you question what's real and what's not, much like how Heart of Darkness makes you question the very nature of humanity. From the chaos of war to the shadows of Moscow's metro tunnels, number 10 takes us underground with Metro: Last Light. Based on Metro 2033 by Dmitry Glukovsky, this game plunges us into the depths of post-apocalyptic Moscow's metro system. Imagine this, mutants, darkness, and more darkness. Welcome to a world where daylight is a luxury. You know things are grim when the highlight of your day is finding a working flashlight. Playing as Artyom, I navigate through claustrophobic tunnels filled with all sorts of nasty creatures. And trust me, these aren't the kind of monsters you'd find in your childhood closet. We're talking about creatures that make you wish for a quick, painless end. The atmosphere is so thick you could cut it with a knife, or maybe a rusty piece of rebar considering the setting. Every creak and groan of the tunnel sends shivers down my spine. I swear I jumped out of my seat when a mutant lunged at me from the shadows. What really cracks me up is the constant banter among the survivors. Despite everything falling apart around them, they still manage to crack jokes about how they miss the good old days. Like standing in line for hours just to buy toilet paper. It's dark humor at its finest, and it keeps me going through the gloom. Now let's mix a fairy tale twist with gritty noir. At number 9, it's The Wolf Among Us. Adapted from the Fables comic series by Bill Willingham, this game flips the script on your favorite fairy tales. Forget happily ever after. Welcome to Fabletown, where the big bad wolf isn't huffing and puffing but solving murders. Yeah, you heard me right, murders. I step into the shoes of Bigby Wolf, Fabletown sheriff. My job? To keep the peace among fairy tale characters who fled their homelands and now live in our mundane world. Imagine Snow White as a bureaucrat and Mr. Toad constantly evading eviction notices. It's like Once Upon a Time meets CSI. Walking through the grimy streets, I spot familiar faces in unfamiliar roles. Beauty and the Beast arguing over money problems? Check. Ichabod Crane running for mayor? Double check. And me, a reformed wolf in detective's clothing, trying to keep everyone from tearing each other apart. The humor here is top-notch. One minute I'm interrogating a talking pig with a penchant for whiskey. The next, I'm dodging punches from an angry woodsman who looks like he belongs in a lumberjack contest. Who knew fairy tales could be so hardcore?
Let's just pick an approach and stick to it, okay? Just
From twisted fairy tales to monster slaying, it's time for The Witcher. At number 8, we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Based on the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski, this game plunges us into a sprawling world brimming with monsters, magic, and more morally questionable choices than you can shake a silver sword at. Picture this: I'm Geralt of Rivia, a brooding, white-haired monster hunter with a gravelly voice that could make even Ciri reconsider her career path. Geralt's world, it's like stepping into a medieval soap opera with swords. One minute, I'm slaying griffins, and the next, I'm tangled in a web of political intrigue and romance. Seriously, if my love life was half as complicated as Geralt's, I'd need a flowchart just to keep track. Navigating through villages, forests, and haunted ruins, I stumble upon all sorts of odd jobs. Need someone to find your lost goat? Geralt's your guy. Want someone to deal with that pesky werewolf terrorizing your town? Again, call Geralt. It's like being the medieval equivalent of an all-purpose handyman, except instead of fixing sinks, I'm decapitating monsters. And then there's Roach, my trusty horse. If only she could stay on the path as well as she climbs onto rooftops. Seriously, Roach has a knack for defying physics that would make any superhero jealous. What cracks me up is the constant banter with NPCs. One minute they're praising me as their savior, the next they're grumbling about Witchers being mutants. Can't win them all, right? Next up, a game with a different kind of desert survival. In the number 7 spot, Mad Max. Inspired by the Mad Max Fury Road prequel novel, this game drops you into a post-apocalyptic wasteland where every day is a fight for survival. And let me tell you, surviving the wasteland has never looked so good or required so much duct tape. I find myself playing as Max Rockatansky, and the first thing that hits me is the sheer scale of desolation. Endless dunes, crumbling structures, and a sky that looks like it's perpetually on fire. It's like someone took the worst parts of every desert ever and cranked it up to 11. And then there's my car, the magnum opus. It's not just a vehicle, it's my lifeline. I'm pretty sure I've spent more time customizing this beast than I did on my high school science project. One moment that stands out, scavenging for supplies. Picture this: I'm rooting through the wreckage of an old gas station when a gang of war boys rolls up. They're like the love children of a metal band and a demolition derby. What do? Whip out my trusty shotgun and start blasting away, all while dodging their spiked cars like I'm in some twisted version of Mario Kart. But the real star of the show, the duct tape. I swear I've used more duct tape in this game than MacGyver did in his entire career. Fixing my car? Duct tape. Repairing my armor? Duct tape. Binding wounds? You guessed it, duct tape. It's practically currency in this world. From the wasteland to the streets of Victorian London. At number 6, it's Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments. Based on the Sherlock Holmes series by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, this game lets me step into the shoes of the legendary detective himself. Don your detective hat and your best British accent. It's deduction time. I wander through foggy streets of Victorian London, piecing together clues with my trusty sidekick, Dr. Watson. One case has me examining a crime scene in a posh townhouse. I'm crouched down, scrutinizing a footprint by the fireplace. Watson, observe, as I say in my most convincing British drawl. The criminal has a limp. Watson looks puzzled. How do you deduce that? Elementary, my dear Watson, I smirk, pointing at the uneven wear on the shoe print. But it's not all serious detective work. There's a moment where I'm interrogating a suspect who claims he was home alone all night. Is that so? I raise an eyebrow. Then why does your parrot keep saying no alibi? I swear, it's like playing Clue, but with sharper wits and funnier mishaps. The humor often comes from Holmes' sheer confidence and Watson's perpetual state of bewilderment. The way they bicker is like an old married couple if one half of the couple solves crimes for fun. Just when I think I've cracked the case, another twist throws me off balance. But that's the beauty of being Sherlock Holmes. Every clue, every hunch pulls me deeper into the mystery.
And Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between...
Next, we're venturing beyond the metro to an even more expansive post-apocalyptic Russia. At number 5, we have Metro Exodus. Based on Metro 2035 by Dmitry Glukovsky, this game takes us on a journey beyond the metro tunnels and into the wilds of post-apocalyptic Russia. And let me tell you, it's Metro, but with sunshine, sort of. And of course, more mutants. I'm Artyom again, but this time I'm not just skulking through dark tunnels. Oh no, I'm hopping onto a train called the Aurora and heading out into the big bad world. It's like trading your basement bunker for a cross-country road trip, if your road trip included mutated bears and radioactive wastelands. First time stepping out into the sunlight, I feel like a vampire that's forgotten his sunscreen. Blinding light aside, it's a nice change from the eternal gloom of the metro. But don't get too comfortable. Those pesky mutants have also adapted to life topside. Picture this, I'm sneaking through an overgrown forest when a giant mutated wolf leaps out at me. My first thought, where's my shotgun? My second thought, why didn't I stay in the metro where it's safe? But hey, it's not all bad. The open world is stunning if you can look past the constant threat of death, and there's something oddly charming about scrounging for supplies in abandoned villages while dodging mutant ambushes. Now, let's dive into a creepy flooded city inspired by Lovecraft's. Number 4 brings us The Sinking City. Inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, this game plunges me into the murky, half-sunken town of Oakmont. I can already feel the dampness seeping into my boots as I wade through flooded streets. Seriously, if you're planning to visit Oakmont, don't forget your life vest and maybe a therapist on speed dial. Playing as Charles Reed, a private investigator plagued by nightmarish visions, I navigate through this waterlogged labyrinth of mysteries and monsters. One moment I'm interrogating a shady dock worker. The next, I'm being chased by creatures that look like they crawled straight out of my worst nightmares. And trust me, my nightmares are pretty vivid. Imagine trying to solve a mystery while constantly questioning your own sanity. It's like being in an escape room designed by someone who thinks sanity is optional. The townsfolk don't help either. They range from eerily calm to downright hostile. One lady tried to convince me her cat was possessed. Spoiler, it wasn't the cat I needed to worry about. What cracks me up? The random floating debris. Picture this, I'm rowing my boat through the submerged streets when an old armchair drifts by. For a moment, I consider sitting down for a break. Then I remember the tentacled horror lurking just beneath the surface and keep paddling. Next, let's revisit the horrors of medieval Europe. At number 3, A Plague Tale, Innocence. Inspired by historical novels about the Black Death, this game is a wild ride through medieval France. Picture this, it's 1348, the plague is running rampant, and I'm playing as Amisha, a young girl trying to protect her little brother Hugo. If you thought sibling rivalry was bad, try surviving hordes of plague-infested rats together. Now that's some truly medieval sibling bonding time. Navigating through the dark and creepy villages, I can't help but chuckle at how my attempts to keep Hugo quiet are eerily similar to babysitting my own little brother back in the day. Only difference, back then I wasn't dodging rats that could devour me in seconds. Stay close, Hugo, I whisper as we sneak past a guard. Hugo looks up at me with wide eyes and a runny nose. Poor kid. We make it past the guard and duck into a ruined house. The real kicker? Using alchemy to fend off the rat swarms? Imagine whipping up concoctions that either attract or repel these little terrors. It's like medieval chemistry class on steroids. And every time Hugo freaks out, I feel like yelling, "Dude, chill, we've got this!" But instead, I calm him down with soothing words while mixing up another rat repellent potion. What cracks me up is how every tense moment between dodging rats and avoiding guards feels like an exaggerated version of hide and seek, if hide and seek involved life or death stakes.
We did it.
Now let's head to medieval England and start building a cathedral. Number 2 is The Pillars of the Earth. Based on the novel by Ken Follett, this game drops me into medieval England, where I find myself neck deep in cathedral construction and some seriously medieval drama. Picture it, I'm Tom Builder, and my life's mission is to build a cathedral that will stand the test of time. Easier said than done when you're dealing with power-hungry nobles, scheming clergy, and oh yeah, the occasional famine. One moment I'm directing workers to lay the foundation stones, and the next I'm mediating a heated argument between a stonemason and a carpenter. Come on guys, I say, trying to keep my cool. We're building a cathedral here, not a tavern. What cracks me up? The little details of medieval life that pop up, like when one of the townsfolk asks me for advice on dealing with rats in his granary. Ever tried using a cat? I suggest, half joking. He looks at me like I've just solved world hunger. And then there's the drama. Oh boy, the drama. Picture this. I'm attending a feast at the local lord's manor when someone accuses my friend of theft. Suddenly, it's like an episode of Game of Thrones, minus the dragons, but with all the intrigue. I swear on my hammer, he didn't do it, I proclaim, trying to keep things from escalating into a full-blown brawl. Building this cathedral is like juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle. One misstep and everything goes up in flames.
It's not builders we're looking for. Actually, it's quite the opposite.
And finally, our #1 spot takes us to a unique, mind-bending world. Taking the top spot is Disco Elysium. Inspired by Sacred and Terrible Air by Robert Kurvitz, this game is part detective story, part existential crisis, and all-around mind-bending. I find myself waking up in a trashed hotel room, hungover and with no memory of who I am. Classic start to any good mystery, right? Except this one's got a twist. My own psyche is my worst enemy. Why did you do it? My ancient reptilian brain snarls at me. Do what? I mutter, trying to piece together the fragments of last night. As I stagger through the streets of Revachol, the city feels like a character itself, gritty, broken, and full of secrets. And then there's Kim Kitsuragi, my stoic partner who somehow tolerates my existential ramblings and erratic behavior. Another day in paradise, he deadpans as we approach a crime scene. What cracks me up is how my inner dialogue keeps sabotaging me. One moment I'm trying to charm a witness, the next, my volition screams at me to run away because I'm unworthy. It's like having an overzealous improv group living in my head, constantly throwing curveballs. The humor here is sharp and dark. Picture this. I'm attempting to flirt with a suspect when my inland empire suggests I sing instead. Against my better judgment, I break into song, bully. The suspect laughs so hard she actually gives up useful information. Who knew embarrassing myself could be a viable interrogation technique? And there you have it. 12 games that prove books can be just as interactive as they are inspiring. From epic fantasy worlds to mind-bending mysteries, these games brought the world of books into our hands. Whether I'm slaying monsters as Geralt, solving crimes as Sherlock, or questioning my sanity in Oakmont, each game offers a unique experience that pulls me right into the story. If you love this list, give it a thumbs up and let me know your favorite book-inspired game in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the unexpected worlds of gaming. Thanks for watching, and remember, never judge a book or a game by its cover.